G'day, I'm Peter Fagan, the Asia Pacific Head of Sustainability for MWH, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the impacts of drought and climate change on the future of Australian agriculture. We all know that the drought and climate change is impacting on agriculture already, particularly in the Murray Darling Basin of Australia. It's leading to increasing water shortages and record lows in both the storages and the allocations of water to farmers in that region. On top of those record lows in available water to farmers, we've also had government initiatives active in the catchments in buying water out of the market and returning that water to environmental flows. This means that there is less and less water available to farmers. The result of that is that we're seeing shifts in the agricultural businesses along the Murray Darling in particular, and those shifts are having an impact on the infrastructure for people like the irrigation companies, and also seeing some farmers change their farming practice from traditional irrigated practices to dryland farming methods. Dryland farming practices are where we're relying entirely on natural rainfall for the crops. This increases the risk to the farmer. Typically in past years, farmers in dryland areas have got a return one in every 3 years. With climate change impacting on top of that and the current drought, it's probably shifted to 1 in 5. This makes it much more difficult for them to get a return on their assets, their land, their farm machinery, and increases the impact on local communities when they're not generating incomes from their farms. Farmers are approaching their risk management regimes in an increasingly more complicated way. They're relying on technology, they're using things like climate forecast models to know when to plant and when not to plant. They're making decisions about when to buy water in the market for the limited applications that they can. They're making decisions around when to leave their land fallow for a year. You might be wondering what this all has to do with MWH. MWH is the wet infrastructure group, and we're working in 2 areas in particular. We're working in a mitigation sense with farmers, so we're helping them become more efficient in terms of their current operations. We're helping them with pipelines, with pump stations, with irrigation systems, so that the water they do have is being used more efficiently. We're also helping with adaptation strategies. With irrigation companies, how do they retire stranded assets? With farmers that have moved, how do we provide new assets or new infrastructure to service their needs as they move to new locations where there is water available? Already we're seeing some shift of farmers' activities as they've sold their water and their land to other areas of the country, particularly in the northwest. This is a slow start, but it's a practice that I think is going to increase over time as we see the impact build and the amount of water that the federal government is buying out of the market also increase. You'll recall that I just mentioned a moment ago that the government is actually active in the market. It's buying water from farmers, impacting local communities at the same time, to restore environmental flows to the Murray Darling system. Those environmental flows are to sustain ecosystems that exist along the river. The question I have in relation to that is, are we chasing our tail? We're buying water to maintain a system that we have described and remember historically as being one way, but we're buying it in a time when we know climate change is already impacting the river. So are we trying to sustain a system that's no longer sustainable? It's really an important question, and one that we have to consider in terms of the future policies for the river. I'm Peter Fagan, the Head of Sustainability for MWH. I hope this briefing's been useful for you.